Welcome back to NewsX. I'm Devika Chopra and you are watching a very special show called the Bharat Progress Report, where the NewsX editorial team has put together 101 milestones that were achieved by India in the year 2024. Yes, this is the most comprehensive report card for the year 2024. And without further ado, I will now take our viewers to the 21st milestone we have achieved for people's welfare in 2024. Joining me on the broadcast is also Editor-in-Chief Rishabh Gulati. Rishabh, taking the 21st milestone forward with you, street vendors of India receive loans worth rupees 13,422 crores under the PM Swanidhi scheme, which was of course started during a distressed time of COVID, but continues to be highly successful.
So let's just roll back a year. Some people who watch us regularly will remember that at this time last year, okay, when we were sitting, what is the state of the nation? So we said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at all the people's welfare schemes running in this country, and we're going to do a dipstick test, anecdotal text. So we're going to go down from all the big states in UP and Maharashtra and the South, in Bengal and other places to see, are the houses actually being built? Are the taps connections reaching people? Okay, are people getting the toilets? Okay. And within that, we did a special documentary last year on this. The Swanidhi scheme, which is basically that a street vendor who doesn't have any collateral, okay, but needs to sort out cash flow, because only if you invest money in actually buying some product, then you sell it, make a profit with which you feed yourself and your family, pay the bills, then you have to reinvest some money to buy product. He needs collateral, cash flow, working capital it's called, okay. Now, any person running a business understands the concept of cash flow and working capital. But what about the street vendor? So can a person who is a street vendor and has no shop, does not have a house, how does he get a loan? This was a Swanidhi scheme. So we did a dipstick test last year of actual people, street vendors who were seeking and getting these loans. And now we have 1 year later, as we are doing this Bharat Progress Report, data. And the data is telling you that 13,000 crore rupees were disbursed under this scheme, which means that of the qualified street vendors, in total 13,000 crore rupees of soft loans were given to these people in order to turn them. And I can tell you, Devika, that the return rate, so basically the how Swanidhi scheme works is you can get 10-20,000 rupees. Then once you pay it back, then they allow you to borrow 50,000 rupees. So the return rate, which means in this scheme, is very, very high. It's in the high 90s, which means the NPAs in this scheme are generally at par with people who actually take collateral loans, which is a great sign for something insecure like this.
Okay, Rishabh, moving on to milestone number 22 for people's welfare. 210 million Indians now have a rupees 2 lakh life insurance cover under the Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, which is the PMJJBY. 1,93,196 claims have been made, Rishabh, so far, of which 1,46,000 have already been disbursed.
Okay, so there are two separate kind of schemes. I don't want to confuse the two. One, of course, is the health insurance, okay, and the other is the life insurance, okay. We sat about in this country to say that how do you provide rapidly reasonable insurance to people whose otherwise life, livelihood and prosperity is destroyed by the vagaries of a single death, a single accident or a single illness, drive people into debt. I mean, their houses have to be sold just to pay medical bills. If the earning member dies, the family becomes destitute. If, God forbid, there's an accident and somebody gets injured and is unable to earn a living, the family goes into destitution. So what kind of way should the government sign a check? Yes, the government should sign a check, but a premium subsidy check, not a direct check, which means that the insurance sector in India is being injected with 210 million new customers, all right? And these 210 million people, think about it, that's 3.5 times the population of the United Kingdom, now has a life insurance cover. That means if somebody dies, the family gets some monies at least. Now, 2 lakh rupees is a relative income for people, but for somebody who is earning 20,000 rupees a month, okay, we are talking about that income loss for 1 year's income is available at the time of death, which is a game changer for families. And look at the disbursements. Very, very interesting to see the rollout happening.
Absolutely. I'm also going to bring out our 23rd milestone as well as far as people's welfare is concerned. Malaria cases in India have fallen by 69%, removing India from the WHO's high burden list. In fact, malaria's deaths related to malaria have also dropped from 11,100 to 3,500 only at this point in time. Rishabh, of course, we're hoping that that number will become zero. But how crucial was this for us?
You can never make it zero, okay? But mosquito vector borne diseases, they have been the greatest killer of humanity. Mosquitoes have been the greatest killer of humanity in all of history. The number of people that have been killed by mosquito vector borne diseases. In India, we have a major problem. We are a tropical country and we have hundreds of species of mosquitoes, many of which of course are the Anopheles mosquito, which of course is malaria carrying. Now, up until a short while ago, India was on the high burden list of malaria cases per year. We have now cut the malaria cases in this country by 2/3, which means that less people are being infected, which means that the less people are falling sick, which means there is a less burden to those families, to the economy, to the health system. And finally, what is a controllable illness, what is a controllable spread can be done. There are various sociological factors, there are various economic factors that of course, the more people who have a roof on their heads, the less likely they are to be exposed to mosquitoes. So, if the number of houses go up, this is going to help. If simple things like a mosquito net can be provided, if other kinds of mosquito prevention facilities are utilized, you can never get it 100%, but you can take it down. So, you know, dengue is a big problem in India, chikungunya, all of these mosquito vector borne diseases. So, this is not malaria in toto, this is telling you that the mosquito vector borne diseases are going down. Great sign for the people of this country.
Okay, I take this moment to also introduce Dr. PSV Rao, who joins us for this very special telecast. Dr. PSV Rao, your thoughts on this particular milestone that has been achieved by India as far as malaria cases are concerned?
Yes, good evening to all of you. This is a very major milestone. Mosquito-borne diseases includes filaria also, and many other infections other than what Rishabh has just now mentioned. And controlling mosquito population makes a huge difference to these diseases and the burden on the healthcare system and on the economy. The various new technologies have also been developed other than the existing, like using of mosquito net, preventing stagnant water, spraying oil on some of these stagnant systems. But a thing which is now also becoming popular is the use of a bacteria which kills the mosquito larvae, and dropping it is available in cakes. You just drop it where there is stagnant water like lakes, etc., which you don't want to empty, and it takes care of it. And also there are these fishes which eat mosquito larvae, like which are also being used in various ponds to reduce the amount of mosquitoes in the which are multiplying in these stagnant waters. So this is a very important thing. Okay. And of course, there are many other such infections which are getting controlled because you're reducing the amount of garbage, etc., lying around. Like rodents can spread plague and various other infections also. These are all vector-borne diseases which we need to control.
Absolutely. Let's come to now milestone number 24. India Inc. has recorded 9.5% hiring growth in 2024. Rishabh, can you explain those numbers?
Okay, so when we are talking about people's welfare, now people's welfare is not simply government schemes. People's welfare also has to be served by self-employment as well as job growth and job creation. Job growth and job creation, a primary focal point for families, a primary focal point for governments, a primary focal point of elections and politics and everything for good reason. So how are we measuring job growth? So when we spoke about the industrial points right before this, we mentioned that okay, the startups in this country have alone created 1.6 million new jobs in the last 1 year. Okay? We spoke that the employees provident fund data has gone up, that the official employment rate in this country is down to 3.2%, and that the reason that that is an incomplete figure, of course, that is the 3.2% is allocated to people in the regular sector unemployment. Irregular sector unemployment is very difficult to measure. But when you talk about industry and business, 9.5% hiring growth. So India's companies were already hiring. They've taken 10% more jobs were created than in 2023, and that's what this metric is telling you.
Dr. PSV Rao, interestingly, sir, we've also noted that 30% of the hirings have been across tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and at the same time there are some new hubs that are coming up like Jaipur, Indore, Coimbatore. What do you make of these trends?
For industry to develop in all these smaller places, you needed roads, you needed electric supply, stable electric supply, and you needed the logistics also to be arranged, like telecommunication, etc. So these focusing on the infrastructure, providing roads and all-weather roads, providing electricity and a stable electric supply, not that the electric supply is most of the time off, and also arranging for the telecommunication and logistics has made a huge difference. It has also the various ease of doing business procedures that this government has been focusing on has also helped. And the skilling, because the main another complaint of the industries were that we have jobs, but the people coming out of the train from the colleges were not good enough to be employed. I can tell you from our own industry, the health industry, lots of doctors who passed out of MBBS, many of them couldn't even give an injection. Now we were teaching them on the job. So when skilling comes in, all this will improve. And now under the latest scheme that was announced earlier this year, they are asking the companies to take interns and train them, which is a great idea. This is exactly what we should have been doing long back. Send them for internship like we have in medicine. We have internship for a year. Giving internship means there is ready young trained people for the industry. These are all helping employment and hiring.
Right.
And this is important.
Absolutely. Talking about industries, let's come to milestone number 25, where we're talking about the entertainment music industry. India's entertainment industry grew by 8.3% to reach 3,65,000 crores by 2020. That's the projected number right there, Rishabh, for India's entertainment industry. But the larger number is that our entertainment industry is expected to grow much faster than the global average even.
Okay, this is an interesting one, and the reason this is interesting is that entertainment, okay, provides not, we talk about entertainment, we think of the biggest Bollywood stars earning crore rupees for film, okay, but we forget that there is an industry, there's a spot buy involved, okay, there is a guy who is setting up the lighting, there's a guy who's a sound recordist, there are the extras who are involved, there are people who have to do up the event venue, there are the makeup artists, and it's become a large industry. You're looking at an 8.5–9%, so better than GDP growth in this industry, and you're also looking at a growth that is taking place at a very healthy level, that this will be a 3.65 lakh crore industry, and especially we're targeting places like the boom that is happening in the media, in the entertainment industry in the south of India. You will see something very, very interesting taking place in all parts of the country on this, Devika.
Absolutely. Let's come to milestone number 26 now in people's welfare. Tap water reached 79.6% Indian homes in 2024, which is 5 times the number that we've achieved in the past 5 years.
Okay, so this is an absolutely fascinating figure. So there is of course a scheme that is being pulled. It's called Har Ghar Jal scheme. You all heard of it, right? It's been quite literally, not just metaphorically or figuratively, it's been literally a pipe dream. We've been thinking about this since independence. Can you take drinking water, that colloquialism that women in this country find it difficult to find employment because a large percentage of their day is spent traveling miles with a matka on their head just to bring water for their families, to drink. Forget other things like washing up. fundamental issue. So now think of the game changer, a single pipe of water, which a lot of us in the middle class in the cities will take for granted. Okay, how much this changes. Now I know there are lots of other issues that you have to first not only lay the pipe, but we have to make sure that 24/7 clean and potable water is available in sufficient quantities, and we are a long way off from there yet. But think about it, 5x, 500% increase in the number of households who have tap water, where they can just get pani at home. That's a fundamental game changer for families. While we talk about all other metrics and measures like insurance and loans and housing, water can't get more basic than that, Devika.
Absolutely. Dr. P.S. Veera, your thoughts on the same as well, because we also tracked this in the Sunday Guardian as well, and that was put out by the Prime Minister himself, where it was found that female labour force participation actually improved and increased because of a simple factor, access to water within the homes.
Yes. This is a very important thing, because if you get safe potable water at home, one, it reduces the waterborne diseases. We earlier spoke about vector-borne diseases. Waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, and so many other waterborne E. coli and diarrheas reduces. Remember, the main cause of infant mortality in India and in most parts of the world is waterborne disease, like just plain simple diarrhea. Second, it also helps in places in India, especially there are parts in West Bengal and other places where there is arsenic contamination of the wells. So, and there are other places where there is fluorine contamination of the drinking water. So this helps in that respect. Third, it improves personal hygiene and hence will reduce various skin and dental infections. And the personal hygiene, you need clean water. Fourth, during floods and various other such events, how are women are going to take the long trip to go to the well to get water? They can now concentrate on educating their children, on employing themselves and contributing to the economy.
Absolutely, Dr. Rao, thank you so much for that. Let's come to milestone number 27, wherein we've understood that 300 million informal workers have been registered on the e-Shram portal to access various government schemes. Rishabh, if you can take our viewers through the importance of this and how the e-Shram portal really addressed some of the long-standing gaps in our informal and unorganized working sector.
Okay, so e-Shram, now this is done under the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Now this is digitization. So what you see on your screens, okay, the government of India gives you a card which is something called a universal account number, okay. So an individual who is a labour force worker, informal worker, construction workers, that's the best example, okay, they get this card and then they can access the portal. On the portal, they get all the schemes that are available for them can be accessed with details over there, okay. Now the reason this is fundamentally important is that as an informal laborer, okay, the dihadi laborer as we used to call them, for the first time they have a formalized ecosystem with which they can register, access schemes, benefits, keep employment records, and a whole host of facilities are available for them. For the first time they are being provided, and which is why registrations have crossed 300 million people in this country, or informal workers have gone, registered, gotten a universal account number and are availing of these services. Now of course we can't say all of them will be availing the services in the best possible way, but the first step has been taken to regularize India's dihadi laborers. Huge thing.
Absolutely, fascinating work there done by the government of India. Let's come to milestone number 28 here. Taxpayer services overhaul under PAN 2.0 was also launched this year. Rishabh, very important step taken by the government once again. If you can explain why is it that we've considered this to be one of the key milestones for people's welfare? Okay,
so latter half of 2024, the government of India says they're going to be investing thousands of crores of rupees to bring out permanent account number, PAN 2.0. The PAN card is ubiquitous to most people in this country. this is going to see its next generation. So you've seen the Aadhaar linking with the PAN card that is going to happen, that has already happened, and now we are seeing that what are the services that are to be made available across the board for not only the tax payees, but the people and the points at which the tax is to be taken, deducted. So all your KYCs, your investments. So basically your tax return filing should be a near automated process, okay, because of your PAN 2.0 ecosystem, all the investments you made, mutual fund investments you made, all your TDS that has been cut, okay, your profit calculations, all of this should become increasingly automated, which means that when you log on to the PAN portal, it should already have the data of how much you earned, how much has come to your bank account, how much fixed deposits you had, how much interest you earned on the fixed deposits, how much TDS was cut on this, how much you invested, etc. What insurance you bought, okay, what health insurance you bought. All of this becomes integrated in an ecosystem. Therefore, your things like filings of returns, data keeping become a lot easier, far more transparent, and therefore better for tax authorities, less harassment for you in having to justify things. Great news.
Dr. P.S. Rao, your thoughts as well. So as a tax-paying citizen of India, what were your thoughts as far as PAN 2.0 is concerned?
I am very happy if they integrate the whole system, because it becomes easy for us to file our returns. Not only that, it eventually will help us to decide how much advance tax to pay on the quarterly basis, rather than each time chasing around the chartered accountant or someone else to help us out. This is much easier, and filing returns also will become easier if the forms are already pre-filled correctly. And if this linking will help the government also in collecting taxes more efficiently. As you would have seen, the introduction of GST has made tax collection more efficient, and I hope once the indirect tax collection improves and the number of people who are under the from whom tax is being collected increases, I hope the slabs will come down. We should be collecting less tax from each individual, but collected from a larger number of individuals, rather than having people escape filing by misquoting their income as agricultural income and various other such reasons why the tax collection from many people is inadequate.
Absolutely. Let's come to milestone number 29. PM Awas Yojana has crossed 89 lakh houses built, and Rishabh, an important, a crucial aspect of that is also the allocation of houses to women. If you can just take our viewers through.
Okay, so Awas house, okay, and again I take you back to Independence Day, December last year, when we were doing our ground reports on these houses that were being built, okay, all over the country, right? And like in any part of the country you'll go, you will see Hindu families, Sikh families, Muslim families living in a village and intertwined, where the toilets are being built, and more importantly, the value of a pakka ghar and a lentil roof, okay, which again many of us would take it for granted. Now we argue rents and property prices, but you have to understand the large population in this country does not have a concrete roof on their heads, okay. Now do the math. 18.9 lakh houses have already been built. So we are in shooting distance. It might happen in the coming year 2025, it might happen maybe a short while later 2026, but within 2 or 3 years you are in shooting distance of reaching saturation of habitat in this country, which means that every man, woman and child in India will have a lentil roof, okay. Now how this scheme works, the PM Awas Yojana, is this is not government making the house and say you can shift in. They say that if you want to build a house also, okay, we will give you 50,000 rupees to start. Then once you put up the walls, another 50,000 rupees. Once you put the roof, another 50,000 rupees. Up to 2.5 lakhs builds the house for you. And some of the areas where the scheme is being built in toto, and we've done the ground reports, okay, these houses are decent, which is what the point is. Look at the photographs on your screen, okay. So the house will have windows, okay, it will have proper sanitation, it will have a kitchen with an exhaust, it will have a bathroom, it will have a living room, and it will have a bedroom. So you will have the basic necessities of life inside a house with the proper piping, sewerage, water, electric connections, with roads outside, connectivity to the nearest main road as well. All of this is being provided not only by people who have their own plot of land but want to build a pakka ghar, but where they don't have a plot of land, pakka ghar. Just saturation in this scheme would be something historic. Look at that figure, 89 lakh houses have already been built.
Absolutely. That brings us to milestone number 30 out of 101 in the category of people's welfare. 5 new AIIMS facilities were also inaugurated in 2024. Why was this a big milestone?
Now, the reason we call it a milestone, because obviously every part of district level, panchayat level, when you are appointing a doctor, when you are opening a clinic, even if you are having a nurse available, all of these things available really impact the healthcare system. So, the top end, which is now AIIMS, you are talking about tertiary level healthcare, is not the be all end all, but you have to understand that an All India Institute of Medical Science is not only a center of excellence for treatment, it is also a center of excellence for learning. Okay? Every single person giving the common entrance test, the NEET exam, who wants to be a doctor, all the toppers want to go to AIIMS to study, and ideally they want to go to AIIMS in Delhi. So, not only are you creating hospital tertiary services, but you are also creating training services, and more importantly you are creating them with speed. We are not talking about 1 in 10 years, we are talking about 5 inaugurated in the last year, and we are also seeing them being inaugurated all over the country. So, in Jammu and Kashmir, in Odisha, in Bengal, in the south of India, these AIIMS facilities are coming up. Great sight.
Dr. PSV, I leave the last word with you, sir, on this particular matter. Your thoughts on the speed at which now AIIMS facilities are being inaugurated across India?
When I was on the staff of AIIMS way back in the 1980s, we used to have hundreds of people from various parts of India lying on the footpath outside AIIMS because the capacity, we didn't have the capacity to handle this kind of a crowd. And you can just imagine now, nearly 40 years later, what will be the situation if we don't provide such facilities in every part of India. So I am extremely happy that both the tertiary, the mid-level, and the basic are being provided. During the pandemic, lot of ICU-like facilities all were provided, but the vaccination drive was also parked up. If you have preventive health also reaching out to the masses, one, you will prevent illness. Second, you are providing insurance also. Third, you are providing the actual hospital facilities. Now, if you don't have a proper facility in the primary health centers in each village, in each area where there is population, what happens is the doctors and nurses posted there get frustrated and they don't even attend it, saying that there is nothing there, what do we do just sitting out there? And the people have to find some way of traveling when they are sick to these central places. And the importance of AIIMS thing is that it is a central institution. Central government institutions in India have always been of a higher quality compared to the various other institutions. Yes. So I am very happy that the central government is reaching out to every corner of India.
Well, Dr. Rao, thank you so much for joining us on this special telecast. Thank you so much, Rishabh, for explaining to our viewers some of these pertinent milestones. But stay on, viewers. We've just covered 30 milestones across economy, industry and people's welfare. We have 71 more milestones for 2024 to go. Stay on to NewsX.